What's happening, everybody? It's Thabile TTO, and this is the Purple Couch, joined via Zoom by, of course, my co-host Nhlanhla, and this is a voter education episode. A big shout out to our sponsors, who are, of course, the National Department of Health and the Department of Sports, Arts, and Culture.
And yes, like Thabile TTO said, I am Nhlanhla Dube Limited, Idobe Market Africa. And as Ashuru today's episode is it's voters education. Please do not forget to follow us on our socials, which is Love Life NGO on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and also guys, of course, like, share, and subscribe. And also now I have a question for you, Thabile, since we're on the voters education. Have you registered to vote?
Of course, of course. I think a lot of people who maybe don't know, the first time that you register to vote, I don't think you have to register again. You know what I mean? So for
True.
me, once I turned 18, I couldn't wait to turn 18 because I knew that this is something that I had been learning about and reading
Mm-hmm.
about, in my history books and stuff. So it was really dope for me to grow up and actually take that power and actually vote. And I think for young people, it's incredibly important for us to, number one, because obviously the voting registration has already closed, but for
So,
the young people who have registered to vote, I think it's important for them to realize that the power is truly in our hands. And what I
for
mean by
hands.
that is
Mm-hmm.
a lot of things that are falling apart are directly affecting us as young people. We live in a country that has got the biggest and the hugest youth unemployment rates in the world, and we cannot lie and say that the South African youth does not have a lot of potential. We have a lot of potential, but we don't
True.
have enough opportunities for us to take that potential and do something with it and actually maximize
About
it. You
it.
know what I mean? So for me, I think
Yeah.
it's dope, and I feel like, you know what, even though the change, I may not see it immediately, but I am putting and I'm casting my stone
Something.
in
Hmm.
making a change. What about you? Have you registered to vote?
Well, yes, I have registered, and it's my first time actually
Oh,
having to register to vote. Yes, because I've
yeah,
never really had that excitement because I felt like there won't be change. You know, those things that we get to experience, and then just like, but what's the point? So that was me.
yeah,
But now I was like, you know what? Looking at how things are actually going, it's like going down bit by bit. So I was like, you
mhm,
know what? It's about time I also like just cast my vote and see if the change will happen. Like you say, it's not going to be right now, but it's going to be a gradual thing whereby eventually we're going to see that change. So yeah, that is just
yeah.
me. I really want to see something happening now that I'm going to vote, and I'm quite anxious on how it's going to be like when I get to the voting station and seeing the ballot papers. So I'm just hoping that I just like maybe don't flaunt and then now I choose for a party that I did not really want. But yeah, I'm just hoping that I don't get to be scared and I just cast my vote.
I think as we have this conversation, it's important to highlight the fact that it's your right to vote, number one, and you have the
Mm-hmm.
right to pick a party that best suits your needs as a South African citizen right now. Do you know what I mean? I
True,
think
true.
um, in the past, there's been this mob justice of, you have to vote for this party. Why aren't you voting for this party? Oh, this party is for this. But
Mm-hmm.
ultimately, I think as people, you may have a group of five friends, but as
Mm-hmm.
you guys are all individuals, you all have different needs to each other. Do you know what I mean?
True,
Uh, a
true.
couple of weeks ago, there was a lady who um, was tweeting on Twitter, and she was talking about an app that basically asks you a couple of questions. It's called Your. It's literally called
Okay.
Your.
You as
And
in
what it
Y-O,
does is,
Y-O.
yeah, it's called Your. And what this app does is it asks you a couple of questions based on your needs as a South African. So it'll ask you
Mm,
about local government. What do you want the party that is put in power to prioritize? What do you feel about the constitution? What do you feel about it? Will ask you different questions, and at the end,
yeah.
based on your answers and the answers that you give in the app, it will generate and give you a party that you can vote for,
Vote
or
for.
you can kind of look into
Mm,
doing research on for you to vote for. Because like I'm saying, we're living in a time where people are heavily influenced by social media, and they are
yeah,
very
yeah.
quickly forgetting their own needs and what the realities that they live in. Do you know what I mean?
I
So
get
for
you.
someone who lives in a suburb, they may not necessarily have the same needs in a party as someone who lives
True.
in the
In
township.
the
Do you know what I mean?
township.
So those
Yes.
are a few things that we as young people and ultimately as citizens who have registered to vote and people who are going to be voting, we need to note and account to. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. All right, now, so
Yeah.
moving on to the next question, I want to just understand, like, what do you think is, or rather, why is it important for us to vote? Why do you think that is? Maybe in two reasons, you can give me that.
I think number one, a lot of people have put their lives for us. And when I say us, I mean people like who look like me and you, people who are black to vote. Do you know what
Mm-hmm.
I mean? As we know, before
Yeah,
1994, black people did not have this right. We
true,
weren't living in a
true,
democratic society. We weren't living in a democratic country. You know what I mean? So for me, it's like they were people, young people who could have lived their lives and done other things, but they chose to go out there onto the streets and protest against their needs. Again,
this,
I'm making
mm-hmm,
this point again of their needs. They saw that they were living in a country that was unfair and that was unequal and that wasn't right. Do you know what I mean?
mm-hmm,
And they
yeah,
chose to stand up and fight. So for me, it's like, who am I? And this is Human Rights Month. Do you know what I mean? For me
yes,
to have the right to vote, for me to have the right to speak my mind and to
have a
have the freedom of
voice,
speech, for us to have platforms like this to share. You know what I mean? And one
true,
of the main reasons why I think it's important for us to vote is we're living in a time where people are incredibly living in shocking spaces and living in
circumstances,
dire,
yes,
dire situations as far as
yeah,
poverty. You know what I mean? Like I
yeah,
said, there are so many people who have so much potential in this country. People who have graduated, people that we know, our friends who have graduated,
true,
who have so many skills, but unable to live their potential and tap into that potential because there aren't any opportunities. You know what I mean?
true,
So for me, number one is because people died for me and risked their life for me to have this right. Number two, because I know so many people who have potential who aren't having opportunities because of the country that we live in and the government that we have.
true. And I think for me,
Yeah,
it would be like you say, the unemployment rates. It's important because now you will have that voice to say now, yes, there are no employments, but now maybe these are the things that you guys can do to help
yeah,
us move away from that unemployment state and that poverty. And also in terms of housing, like you say, people are living in their situations or circumstances. Some don't even have
yeah,
homes. So the
yeah,
housing platforms can also like come in now, whereby we can get houses again.
yeah,
Now we had the um, RDP situation happening, and then now it's no more. And then
yeah.
again, it's important for me that I vote because if I do not vote, where do I think my vote is going? Because essentially, it's going to be taken to the party that I maybe not have wanted to represent me. You know?
Exactly. So I think it's
Yeah.
important to
So and
account
then again, I
and
just wanted. Mhm.
yeah. And as we wrap it up, I think it's important for the people who have registered to vote on the 29th
True.
of May, as we know, that is the date that the entire
We are
country
going to vote. Hmm.
from corner to corner will be going out to vote. I think take the power, like I said, look at your needs, look at the things that you want for yourselves, the opportunities that you want for
Hmm.
yourselves. And look at the parties, between now and the time to vote. I think educate yourself and enlighten yourself about the different parties and the different operators and your different needs, and if those parties are able to answer to
Meet
those
that.
needs,
Hmm.
yeah. But a big shout out to you for, of course, tuning into the Purple Couch. Continue to,
Definitely.
chat to us, like, subscribe, and share the channel with all your friends. Let them know that we
Yep.
are doing absolutely incredible things. Remember that we are live on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. If you want to see more content, hashtag the Purple Couch. Until the next episode on the next Friday, keep doing the most. Bye, guys.